Hey cats, it's Ed Gibson SG-BUD here. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining us. I've got an episode of the famous running news for you today, keeping you up to date with all the latest happenings surrounding running and running shoes. Lots of stories to get through, so let's get to it. Thanks for joining us on the channel once again. If you haven't done so already, help us out by hitting that subscribe button and also giving this video a thumbs up like. Helps to spread the YouTube love. If you're enjoying the content on the channel too and you want to help support us, then do give us a super thanks down below or become a member. Every little helps. Got some running news stories for you today. Let's get to them. ASICS have unveiled a new shoe using some of the foam which appears only until recently in their top line race shoes. The SUPERBLAST seems to have dropped everywhere, maybe some sort of review embargo or something. Sadly, I didn't get a pair, and maybe I will in the future sometime. There's a large amount of that Flight Foam Blast Turbo. I really enjoyed that in the ASICS Metaspeed Sky Plus, but this time underneath we've got another layer of Flight Foam Blast Plus. I assume that's there to increase the durability of the slightly more fragile foam on top, and it's also probably going to keep the weight nice and low as well rather than having some sort of EVA layer. This one appears to be dropping very soon in the US, but there's no word on a European or UK release so far. As soon as I hear about one, you will be the first to know. There's a large wedge of foam here from heel to toe, which is firmer, more responsive, quite brittle version of the Blast stuff that now dominates the ASICS running shoe lineup of this year. I would imagine from this image that the midsole does creep up and around the heel somewhat, as we see in most shoes these days. It's only really the Adidas Lightstrike Pro models that seem to be just underneath the foot rather than creeping up and around the heel. Adidas somehow seem to get away with it, I don't know how. Though I've seen measurements of 45mm back in the heel, so again I'm going to have to be a little bit careful if I'm going to walk through the doors in my house using the SUPERBLAST. I think this could be a bit of a competitor to the SC Trainer from New Balance. The midsole stacks are slowly rising. At $220 though, it's a huge price. Certainly I would expect a big upgrade from something like the NovaBlast 3. The outsole rubber seems very reminiscent actually of the NovaBlast lineup. You've got that sort of mid to 4 foot trampoline style section, like a central rubber piece that seems to provide a bit more response in the forefoot, and a foam cutout in the heel again to facilitate more compression. I'm always keen to see weight listings about new shoes that come out to see whether they're going to work out for me, being quite a slight fellow. I found a US 11 weight of 260 grams, so by all accounts it's perhaps about the same as the NovaBlast 3 in my size at least. Quite intriguing. I hope to find out more info on this shoe, which appears to be embargoed until recently by ASICS themselves. Let's see how it shapes up as more people get some more miles into it. Maybe like a premium NovaBlast. More info as I get it. On to story 2. I was very interested to see that shoe brand Allbirds have got a new winter themed model. Still with the sustainable low carbon print features as their other models, the wool runner mizzles feature a water repellent treatment to the upper, which hopefully will keep the feet a little bit warmer and drier over the course of the quite nasty English winter. If you're in pursuit of miles in the less mild winter weather, then these could be right up your street. The company, of course, are famed for their use of merino wool in the uppers of their shoes. That is the case here with a cozy rain-ready sneaker for your foot. These shoes, incidentally, are made in South Korea. Not sure I've ever found a shoe that was made in South Korea, or certainly haven't reviewed one, that's for sure. Very interesting developments there. Certainly a company who are seen to be a little more conscientious than others in terms of their workers and their factory conditions, judging by the wealth of information available on their website alone. I see no reason why the wool runner mizzle could become some sort of casual runner. Perhaps if you're doing a little bit of running and you want something that still looks reasonable round the pool table. Perhaps if you're working in the city or you're doing some town traversal with some more generous rubber in the outsole than all the previous Allbirds models. So perhaps some improved traction. This one comes in at about 120 Earth credits here in the UK. Could present a slightly less flashy and logo plastered shoe if you want to use it casually. And of course if you're a little bit more ecologically minded. These are available in both men's and women's sizing in a huge range of colours, so go and check them out if you fancy something a little different from the standard mesh and foam models. Story 3. Check out this running shoe, guys, it's a real beauty. The New Balance 990 V6 is coming out in mid-December. This Silver Shadow style running shoe is only £210 and one of the Made in USA series. I believe that means 70+% of the shoe itself is domestically kind of put together in the US. This is a running shoe at heart, but with some new design elements to bring it into 2022 from the original 1982 design. New Balance have incorporated the FUELCELL foam into this version of the 990, perhaps in an attempt to make the cushion slightly improved and make this one a more comfortable model than the previous iterations. We do have a polyurethane section in the heel area. It appears to give a little bit of stability to proceedings, balancing out that very squashy FUELCELL with a firmer element. I think the only fly in the ointment here, if you plan on using this as a running shoe, is the weight. This one's coming in at 374 grams or 13.2 ounces. That's in the sample size as well, so you can only imagine what it's going to be in my size. I guess it's all the suede and mesh, plus the rather generous application of rubber on the outsole of the shoe. At £210, I think this one makes the SC trainer look almost like a value offering. Certainly one for laps of the pool table and some pub fun, rather than a tidy 10k. And also using it in the winter, it's going to wreck all that suede as well. Just wear it casually, guys. I don't think this is a running shoe. Regardless, though, of what I reckon, it could still be a running shoe. See the insole right there? It says running. So it must be a running shoe, right? Are you up for a challenge? If so, ASICS have got something lined up for you in the World EKIDEN. It's open for registration now, only for a few days still. You can get yourself a team of up to 6 people together to undertake a range of distances for the classic EKIDEN relay. You use the Runkeeper app when you undertake your sections of the EKIDEN. I think they're all either 5 or 10k sections total. I've really enjoyed this event over the last couple of years, which I've undertaken with my shoe tuber buddies Emily Heller, Andy the Fodrunner, and the shoe sensei Kafuzi. It's free to enter and to register too. You can then decide upon which of you are going to undertake which sections of the race itself. It makes up the marathon distance, so you can kind of predict as to what you might get overall. The EKIDEN segments themselves need to be completed between the 10th of November and the 22nd. It's cool as well, if you use the app to actually do the distances and you've got some headphones in, it gives you this kind of EKIDEN history segment and also cheers you on as you're doing your various bits. Kind of like a special audio experience. I thought it was really, really cool. Head over to the ASICS website or use the link in the description to get more info and get your race team together for this worldwide event. I had to race last year with a busted arm and shoulder. I only did like the 5k segment and that was tough enough. But in 2020 I did both a 10k and 5k segment. I really enjoyed it. In fact, I think the 10k I did there stands as one of the fastest that I've ever done. There's nothing like the weight of a team and some competition there to boost your performance a little bit. I kind of find it hard to do that if you're just doing like a time trial, but if something's actually going to be recorded about it, I think it adds a little extra spice. There's a little extra spark there. The ASICS World EKIDEN seemed to bring out the best in me, and I think it might do that for you. Go and check it out. That's all the running news stories for today. If I've missed something really interesting, let me know in the email in the description of this video. Musical interlude time for you. I've become a bit obsessed with this one. I've been listening to it every single day for the past weeks and weeks. AC/DC live at the Apollo Theatre in Glasgow. This was back on April 30th, 1978. So I hadn't even been born yet, but already men were producing the most pure rock and roll sound possible. I absolutely love this one. I'll put a link in the description for you so you can go and check it out for yourselves. Angus Young's just on fire in this one. The guitar playing is just pure enjoyment. You can see everyone was having a great time here. There's some of AC/DC's best tracks here, a lot of them from the album Power Age. The SG itself just sounds heavenly. There's this raw electric excitement that seems to come through the strings, and it's not the most ridiculous distortion you're ever going to hear. It's just got this wonderful growling overdrive where it feels like the amplifier tubes are just on the verge of getting a little bit too hot. Bon Scott is in fine form as well, with perhaps the tightest trousers that a man has ever worn. He also seems to have like quite a sort of buff body but then very thin legs, so I'm not entirely sure how he achieved that. It could be the camera. Either way, if you like rock, then you're going to enjoy this. I can't quite understand how it's taken me this long to love it so much, but it's just pure enjoyment for me listening to this. If you got a headache, you can put this on, it just disappears. AC/DC live at the Apollo in Glasgow, back from 1978. Thanks for tuning in today, people, it's always appreciated. Hit that subscribe button and the bell for notifications. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, like, and share it with your running buddies. My name's EDDBUD, and I'll be seeing you